3 of these 15 garden trends are in your yard right now. You do not think they look dated. Everyone driving past your house does. Not ugly plants, not neglect, just simple decor choices that seemed fine at the time and that quietly make the whole yard read as old and cheap. 2 do more than look bad. They cook the soil and breed mosquitoes. 15 dated yard elements counted down from least to worst. Any of them in your yard right now is aging it every time a neighbor drives past. Number 10 is breeding hundreds of mosquitoes a week for your whole neighborhood, and you might not even know it is coming from your yard. Number 1 ages the property by 20 years, and nobody who owns one thinks it looks dated. That is the trap. Number 15. Mismatched pots and containers scattered across the porch, the deck, and the front steps. You bought the first pot at the garden center in 2010 because the terracotta was pretty. You bought the second because it was on clearance in a plastic mock ceramic finish. You bought the third at a big box hardware store because it was cheap. By 2026, the porch has 4 different pot styles, 3 different heights, and 2 different color families, and none of them have anything to do with each other. The fix is not expensive. Pick one material family, real terracotta or dark charcoal, glazed or plain white, and commit. Move the mismatched pots to the back of the property where they hold soil for divisions and cuttings. 3 matched pots of increasing size on the front porch reads intentional. 9 mismatched pots reads like 9 trips to 9 different sales over 15 years, which is exactly what it is. The upgrade costs about $60 if you use terracotta from a real garden center. It costs nothing at all if you already own 3 pots of the same family and you use only those 3 at the front. Number 14. Scalloped plastic or concrete edging bricks pressed into the ground between the lawn and the bed. You bought the strip in 1996 because it was the recommended way to create a clean edge without a spade. The plastic version bought at the big box store warps within 2 summers of freeze and thaw, tilts sideways, catches on the mower, and eventually cracks. The concrete scallop version does not warp, but it settles unevenly, sinks on the low side of the bed, and pushes up on the high side by year 4. By year 10, the edging is doing the opposite of what it was supposed to do. It is calling attention to the fact that the bed edge is not clean. It is calling attention to the fact that the homeowner tried to solve the edge problem with a purchased product instead of a spade. The fix is one Saturday afternoon and a half-moon edging tool. Cut a fresh vertical edge 4 inches deep at the border of every bed. Pull out the scalloped brick, throw it away, and mow with a wheel just kissing the cut edge. The bed line will look sharper in a single afternoon than the plastic scallop looked at any point in its useful life. I pulled the scalloped plastic strip out of my own front bed in one weekend. I think it was around 2010, could have been 2011. After 15 years of the mower catching the edge, tilting the strip, and me straightening it every Saturday. The half-moon edger cost $18. The bed has read as sharper and more expensive ever since without the strip fighting the lawn. Number 13. No visible line between the lawn and the bed at all. The opposite problem from number 14. Instead of over-engineering the edge with a scalloped product, the homeowner simply let the mulch drift into the grass and the grass creep into the mulch. And by year 3, the border is a soft, blurry zone where neither one really begins. From the driveway, the yard reads unfinished. The visual difference between a yard that looks maintained and a yard that looks abandoned more often than not is not the plants. It is the clean line where the bed meets the lawn. Cut that line once with a half-moon edger. Every subsequent mowing keeps it sharp for a year. Recut it once a spring. Done. Number 12. Buying every plant at the size it is on the garden center display and setting it 4 feet from the next plant. This is the mistake almost every senior American gardener has made because the garden center pot photograph does not show the mature size. The 1-gallon perennial in the pot in May looks small. 4 of them planted 4 feet apart in a bed looks appropriate. 3 summers later, one plant is 6 feet across, One is dying because it is too crowded, one is fine, and the fourth is a mystery because you cannot remember what you bought. The bed reads chaotic. The neighbor drives past and quietly registers that this is a yard that was planted without a plan. The fix requires knowing the mature spread before you plant. Any plant tag worth reading lists it. If it does not, look it up on the phone in the aisle before you pay. Plant at half the mature spread from the next plant for a bed that reads full at year 3 and settled at year 5. Plant at full mature spread if you want the bed to look thin the first 2 years and correct at year 7. The Chain Garden Center never volunteers mature size at the counter because it wants you to buy more plants for the same square footage. That is the entire business model at odds with your bed. Number 11. Too many competing focal points in the same front yard. The gazing ball on the left, the bird bath in the middle, the concrete bench on the right, the obelisk with the clematis at the back. 4 items, all designed to be looked at, all fighting each other for the eye of the person driving past. A front yard needs 1 focal point, not 0, not 4, 1. The fix is ruthless. Pick the strongest of the 4 items you already own. Move the other 3 to the back garden, to a friend's yard, to the curb, or to the shed. The remaining single item, the bird bath, the obelisk, whatever, reads as a design decision. 4 items reads as a collection accumulated without a plan. I moved the bird bath from the front to the back of my own yard somewhere around 2015, give or take a summer, and the front yard suddenly looked composed for the first time in 10 years. The bird bath is still there in the back. The birds like it better. The front is quieter and reads more expensive. Confess in the comments. Which one of the first 4 is somewhere in your yard right now, and what U.S. state are you gardening in? The pattern across the country tells me which dated element still shows up hardest by region. Number 10. The plug-in pump fountain with the extension cord visible from the driveway. The little 3-tier concrete fountain that was popular from about 1995 through 2010. The pump lives in the basin. The cord runs out the back of the fountain along the ground under a hosta, up the side of the porch and into an outdoor outlet. The cord is beige. The yard is green. The cord is 15 feet of visible extension cord that reads immediately. The fountain itself is not the problem. The problem is the cord and the extension cord and the outlet cover and the small orange plug you can see from the sidewalk. Solar pump versions exist now. Solar pump versions still do not run as long as a plug-in, but they eliminate the cord problem entirely. If you cannot commit to a solar pump, dig a shallow trench, bury the cord in conduit, and hide the visible run. That is a Saturday of work that transforms the fountain from tacky to intentional. There is a second problem nobody at the garden center mentions when they sell you the fountain. A pump fountain that stops running because the cord got tripped, the pump seized, or you turned it off in October and forgot to drain it, becomes standing water in a bowl in your front yard from May through September. That is exactly what a female mosquito is looking for. One neglected fountain can produce hundreds of mosquitoes a week for the entire neighborhood. The dated look is one problem. The bites you and your grandkids are getting because of a fountain 3 houses down is a bigger one. Or, and this is what I usually recommend, remove the fountain entirely and replace it with a large stone bowl filled by hose during dry weeks. The birds still come. The visual line is quiet. There is no cord to hide, and there is no basin of dead water to breed mosquitoes for the neighborhood. Quick word before number 9. there is more practical perennial garden design than fits in any one video. I gathered 40 years of it into a book at henrysgardensecrets.com. The book is the long version. I will not bring it up again. Now to number 9. Number 9. Meatball clipped shrubs. The boxwood pruned into a perfect sphere. The yew pruned into a perfect sphere. The privet pruned into a perfect sphere. 3 matching perfect spheres in a row along the foundation of the house. The meatball shape was popular in American suburban landscape design from about 1965 through 1995 because it read as tidy and controlled. In 2026, it reads as inherited from the previous homeowner. Every foundation planting and every subdivision built between those years has the same 3 spheres. From the driveway, the yard says 1978. The fix is patient. Stop shearing. Let the shrubs grow into their natural form over 3 seasons of light corrective pruning instead of formal ball shaping. The boxwood becomes an informal mound. The yew becomes a rounded blob with a slightly different profile every year. The privet becomes an actual shrub with actual layered branches. The yard, without those matching spheres, suddenly reads as designed instead of inherited. The visual age of the property drops by 2 decades. Number 8. Wagon wheels and old rusted tools leaned against the fence as rustic decor. The wagon wheel was popular from about 1980 through 2005 because it read as country and folksy. The rusted plow, the old lantern, the pitchfork against the shed, the entire aesthetic came from a country living magazine spread that everyone bought in the 80s, put in their yards, and never took down. 3 problems with the wagon wheel 40 years later. The wood rots, the iron rusts to the point of falling apart, and the aesthetic itself has aged into a specific tired cliché that reads immediately to anyone under 60 as a decade the yard is stuck in. The fix is direct. Anything rusted beyond structural integrity goes to the metal recycler. Anything wooden and rotting goes to the yard waste pile. The 1 or 2 pieces that are genuinely beautiful, such as a real antique plow at a good angle or a decent oak wheel, get moved to the back garden or the side yard, where they read as personal touches instead of the entire visual theme of the front. Number 7. The clawfoot bathtub, the old pickup truck bed, or the discarded toilet planted with petunias. You saw it in a country magazine in 2007. You thought it was clever. You put it in your front yard. Every visitor mentions it. Some of them mention it because it is charming. Most of them mention it because they cannot help themselves. Bob Vila listed the bathtub planter in the top 10 off-putting yard elements in 2026. The clawfoot tub reads as somebody trying too hard. The truck bed reads as somebody who does not know what to do with an old truck. The toilet reads as farm humor from 10 years past its expiration date. The fix depends on the item, a genuinely beautiful antique bathtub relocated to the back garden and used as a raised herb planter for something practical. Mint, basil, lemon balm, contained by the tub walls, becomes a functional accent nobody is going to comment on when they visit. The pickup bed becomes a raised vegetable garden if the drainage is handled. The toilet goes to the dump. There is no dignified use for a toilet in a front yard in any American climate. Number 6. Silk flowers and plastic flowers set into the outdoor beds. Some gardeners over 60 have been quietly using silk flowers to fill in the bare spots in the front bed for 20 years because the real flowers do not bloom long enough, and the silk ones look the same in April as they do in August. From 10 feet away, in poor light, they do look the same. From 2 feet away, in July sun, they do not. The dye fades. The plastic petals become brittle. The stems tip forward because the wire inside them is bent. The silk flower in the outdoor bed announces itself the moment anyone gets close enough to see it. The fix is not to abandon the goal of continuous color. The fix is to pick perennials that actually deliver continuous color. Hardy geranium Roseanne from May through October, catmint Walker's Low for 5 months, Coreopsis Zagreb for the entire summer. The real plant blooms almost as long as the silk one looked convincing, and it does not embarrass you when the grandkids arrive. If you already have silk flowers in the front bed, The removal is one afternoon. The fix is a genuine perennial from a real garden center. Number 5. Random plant collecting with no cohesive palette. A red begonia, a yellow marigold, a pink petunia, a blue lobelia, a white alyssum, each one bought at a different Saturday market because each one was pretty on the day it was bought. Someone on Reddit summarized this yard perfectly last summer. My yard looks neurodivergent, a mishmash of impulse buys. That is not a design failure the homeowner intended. That is 30 years of individual good decisions that added up to a bed that reads as chaos from across the street. The fix is a color plan. 2 or 3 colors, maximum, chosen with a specific reason. Purple, white, and yellow reads as classic English garden. Pink, blue, and silver reads as cottage. Orange, purple, and chartreuse reads as bold and modern. Any of those combinations works. 9 colors picked randomly does not work, no matter how pretty each individual plant was on the day it was bought. Committing to 3 colors is emotionally hard because it means saying no to a pretty plant in the wrong color. It is also the single design change that separates a yard that looks like a landscape architect walked through from a yard that looks like the homeowner grabbed whatever was on the sale rack. Hit subscribe. 40 years of yard opinions the design magazines never printed. Trial garden notes every couple of days. The last 4 are the ones that give the yard away from a passing car. Number 4, the wooden silhouette of a bent-over gardening lady in overalls. The plywood cutout of a woman bent forward at the waist, painted with polka dot underpants, planted in the flower bed. Family Handyman put it on their dated yard list in 2026 with a specific line I am going to repeat because it is the honest thing to say. If it got a laugh the first time, it probably has not gotten a laugh since. The bent-over lady was a rural craft fair favorite from about 1990 through 2005. Every rural craft fair in America sold them for $40 unpainted and $60 painted. Households across the country bought one, planted it in the corner of the bed, and never took it down. From the sidewalk, the entire yard becomes a joke that stopped being funny 2 decades ago. The fix is a compassionate one. If the bent-over lady was a gift from a friend or a mother-in-law who has passed, keep her in the garage or the basement. If she was a purchase from a craft fair in 1998, take her to the same craft fair as a donation this fall. Somebody else will find her charming for another summer or 2. The bed she was in will look 10 years younger the moment she leaves. Number 3, rubber tire mulch spread 3 inches deep across the perennial bed. The recycled tire mulch was marketed heavily from about 2010 through 2020 as an eco-friendly, weed-suppressing permanent alternative to natural bark mulch. It is none of those things. The tire chunks heat up in the sun to temperatures that stress plant roots. They leach zinc and other chemistry into the soil that has been documented to affect earthworms and soil biology. The eventual disposal, because the mulch does not biodegrade, is a specialty facility, not the yard waste truck. The recycled tire label at the garden center in 2015 was accurate. The eco-friendly implication was marketing that ignored the actual soil science. The fix is removal. Rake up the tire mulch, bag it, and take it to the specialty facility that handles rubber waste. Replace with natural shredded hardwood at the same depth. The bed reads correctly. The soil biology recovers by the end of the first summer. The rubber goes away. If you have rubber tire mulch in the bed right now and you are watching this video, do not read past the end of the year without addressing it. It is the one item on this list with a genuine soil health cost, not just a visual one. One thing before number 1. If this video has already made you look at your own yard differently, tap like. That is how the algorithm hands it to the neighbor whose driveway lava rock you have been quietly judging for 20 years. Number 2, red lava rock spread as mulch throughout the perennial beds. The volcanic red lava rock was the standard American front yard mulch from about 1975 through 1995. Every suburban subdivision built in those 2 decades installed lava rock at the closing walkthrough. The homeowner inherited the beds already covered in it and never really thought about replacing it. Wait until year 3, or year 5, or year 20. Weeds still grow right through it because there is no soil suppressing barrier, and the rock lets sunlight and seeds get to the ground. The rock also heats the soil under it to temperatures that stress plant roots. The soil temperature underneath a lava rock bed at midsummer reaches levels that kill earthworms and the soil bacteria that keep perennials alive. It is not a mulch. It is a heat blanket over dead soil. The red color reads immediately as a specific decade on top of all that, the way avocado green kitchen appliances read as 1972. The fix is a 2-day removal job. Rake up the lava rock. Sift the beds with a garden fork to pull out the deeper embedded rocks. Bag the whole pile and take it to a landscape supply yard that accepts rock recycling. Replace with natural double-shredded hardwood mulch 3 inches deep. My grandmother's yard in Ohio had red lava rock installed at the closing walkthrough when she bought the house. Must have been 1978 or 1979. My memory blurs on the exact year, and it was still there when I helped clear the property 40 years later. 2 full days with a garden fork and a wheelbarrow to get the last of it out from under the yews. The soil underneath had gone flat and lifeless from 4 decades of cooking. It came back the summer after the mulch changed. The yard drops 20 years of apparent age in a single weekend. The perennials underneath finally get soil that behaves like soil instead of an oven surface. Number 1, concrete geese, gnomes, and deer statuary on the front lawn. I went back and forth on whether the concrete goose or the bent-over lady deserved the top slot. The goose won because it shows up in nearly every American front yard on my block, and the dressed goose version is a category unto itself. Family Handyman named it the top dated yard element for 2026. Homes and Gardens gave it their number 1. The dressed goose is the worst version. A concrete goose with a seasonal costume, the raincoat in April, the flag outfit in July, the pilgrim hat in November, turns the front yard into a rotating display case. From the passing car, the yard says the owner has strong opinions about goose fashion. The fix. If it was a gift from someone who has passed, keep one under the porch. If it was a purchase, donate the collection to a rural craft store. Without the statuary, the front yard reads as a designed landscape instead of a 30-year display. 15 dated yard elements. Everyone was purchased with good taste for its decade. Everyone announces that decade to everybody driving past today. The fix in every case is a Saturday of work and a willingness to say goodbye to a thing that used to feel like a good idea. Drop a comment with the item on this list that is somewhere in your yard right now, and the U.S. state you are gardening in. The pattern tells me what to cover next.